Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the math meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 7:04. If we could all stand for the flag salute. Todd, would you like to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just real quickly, since we have this a different setup here for the meeting, I would like to go ahead and introduce the math board. I am Monica Rosenthal, and the chair, and we'll start at the end of the table here.
My name is Ken Gonzalez. I'm the secretary.
Todd Fiora, vice chair.
And we have two board members out in the audience.
I'm Rosemary Cordova.
It's Rosemary.
And Bill Waite.
Thank you. Now, if we could, as we usually do,
Recording in
Ken,
progress.
if you could read our mission statement.
I'd be happy to. The math mission statement, the Middletown Area Town Hall was formed to operate as a true town hall with everyone participating and voting. However, county officials required us to elect a board to conform with other county advisory committees. Our bylaws specify that the board makes decisions based on a vote of everyone present. The board encouraged all members to give their opinions and vote on every matter before the assembly.
Thank you, Ken. I believe everyone was either mailed or there were copies of the agenda in the back. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll
Thank
second.
you.
And I'll second.
Okay, so that was moved by Fletcher Thornton and seconded by Ken Gonzalez. Thank you. And now we'll move right on to our speaker, and we have our board member, Bill Waite, will introduce our speaker for this evening.
Moving awful fast through this agenda tonight. That's pretty good. Now, I have the privilege of introducing the speaker, which I just met, 2 weeks ago or a month ago or something like that.
Couple weeks ago.
For the first time at a luncheon, and was very surprised with the person that I talked to and the person that I met. Showed a lot of stature and fortuitousness to lead in the job that he's seeking. And I don't know, did anybody file by today? I think today was the deadline, right, for getting filing in?
Yesterday at 5 p.m. Currently, it's an uncontested election for the office of
Uncontested,
sheriff.
so it would appear that he will be the one that's going to be overseeing, which is another good reason to introduce him probably and make all the positive statements that I could make. Anyway, some of you may know him even way better than I do. Like I said, I just met him about a month ago. But he is a local resident, grew up here, and has been in this area since his beginning. And parents are still living here and suffered through the fire like all the rest of us have. And so there's some sympathy there and empathy there. It worked out for me because I was president of the board of directors at Hidden Valley when that came, and worked together very much with the county as well as all the different departments, FEMA and Red Cross and so on, that were going on here. So we had a chance to have a heart-to-heart about that and the emergency operations services, and I was very impressed by his knowledge of what's going on in the county, what needs to go on in the county in the future, and the direction that he's looking at for what we need to do to improve our services out there, both from security as well as emergency notification. And that's why I suggested that we bring him on. So I'd like to introduce Lucas Bingham.
Oh, good evening. I appreciate the. Yes. Yeah. As I was introduced, my name is Lucas Bingham. I go by Luke. I've gone by Luke since I was a little kid. So, if you see any of my campaign stuff or my website or Facebook page, it's Luke Bingham. That's what I go by. So, by all means, you can just call me Luke. I appreciate the invitation to come down here and speak to you guys today and kind of tell you a little bit about myself. And I'm kind of glad to see everybody here. I think it's very important in my eyes that the community gets together and talks about what each community needs. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'll just give you a little background on myself. As I was introduced, I grew up here in Lake County. I grew up in Middletown. I graduated from Middletown High School in 1993. My parents moved up here in 1980 from Santa Cruz. I was originally born in Santa Cruz, and then we moved up here in 1980. My father was a welder for PG&E and retired from Calpine. They still live here in Lake County in the community, so it's kind of a home for me. I left in 1993 after graduating high school and joined the United States Air Force. I served 4 years in the Air Force in Alaska, here in the United States, and I deployed overseas to Saudi Arabia and the UAE several times during that time. When I got out of the Air Force, is kind of a interesting path into how I came into law enforcement. I was getting out of the Air Force. I was in security forces at the time, and I really didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do when I got out of the military. And I happened to be living with a friend of mine that was going to the police academy, and he suggested that I go to the police academy with him. And I kind of said, well, I don't know if I can afford that. He said, well, the GI Bill's paying the whole thing. Well, I went to the police academy. And that's how I got into law enforcement. It wasn't never really a desire when I was a kid or a path that I thought I would take, but I got into law enforcement. Lake County was the first place that offered me a job, so I came home. And I really realized how much Lake County meant to me and how great Lake County was after being all over the United States and around the world. I kind of really felt home here, and so I've stayed, and I've been here for 25 years. I've been with the Sheriff's Office, like I said, for 25 years. In that time, I've been very lucky to have a rather varied career. I've worked as a patrol deputy, a field training officer. I've been a narcotics detective. I've worked undercover. I was actually I was the first deputy in Lake County history that I'm aware of to ever be assigned to a federal DEA drug task force for 3 years. I was out of the San Francisco Division office in Windsor and worked for them for 3 years on a loaned assignment. And then I came back to Lake County and promoted to sergeant and have since promoted to lieutenant. And I currently serve as a administrative lieutenant for the Sheriff's Office. It's been a really good career for me, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed working in Lake County. I think some of the things that I bring to the office and that I want to bring to the office is that my entire career, I've always felt that the need to learn something that I don't already know and kind of get out of the box, not just kind of look at what we're doing and stay with what we're doing, but always look at what's new, what's trending, what should we be doing, how are we going to be improving our services. And a need to listen to the community. I think that came from Brian Martin especially. I think in law enforcement, we kind of got, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, we kind of internalized a lot of what we were doing in law enforcement, and I think that was an industry-wide thing. We weren't very communicative with our public. We didn't listen to our public. We pretty much had the mentality that we're the experts and so forth. Therefore, we're going to provide law enforcement to our community how we feel it should be done. And that caused a lot of problems in law enforcement that have kind of come back to us in the last 10 years. And I think a lot of that not only was partly our responsibility in law enforcement, not being transparent with our community, not letting our community know what we're doing, not listening to our community and the services that we provide to them. So I think those are very important things. I'm pretty comfortable going into the office of the sheriff because of the staff that we have. We have a very senior command staff and a very experienced command staff right now in the sheriff's office. So that gives me a lot of comfortability going into the office of sheriff because I have a lot of people to rely on that have those knowledge and experience that's needed. I think it's would be remiss for anybody to think that they know everything going into the office of sheriff. It's impossible to know everything. There are so many different facets to the sheriff's office, from corrections to the coroners to civil to bailiffs and all of the things that we have a responsibility to provide to our community. it's impossible for any one person to have all of that knowledge to themselves. So having that command staff and having that senior experience is very important. Some of the current issues that we're facing in the sheriff's office that I think you guys are well aware of is we have a staffing issue right now in the sheriff's office. I like to tell people I don't think it's a Lake County issue, and I don't think it's a Lake County Sheriff's Office issue. It's kind of an industry-wide issue right now that we're having. Pay, benefits, I think some of the social stuff that we're dealing with in law enforcement makes it very difficult to recruit people into this job. We're making some good headway in that area right now in the Sheriff's Office. The Board of Supervisors have been very supportive of us in that, and then we are making some good recruitments. Right now, a lot of people are kind of surprised when I tell them this. Right now, we have 12 patrol deputies and 4 sergeants for all of Lake County for a 24/7 operation. 12. That is woefully understaffed. It's difficult. We're running a modified schedule right now, which doesn't allow us to do a lot of things that we want to do. We are making headway. We are graduating. As a matter of fact, I'm going to Siskiyou County tomorrow. We are graduating 3 brand new deputies from the Siskiyou Academy tomorrow. We've hired 2 laterals from Stockton, who will be starting this month. We have another lateral from Del Norte County, which will be starting in January. And we have another deputy we just hired that we'll be sending to the academy in January. So we're making some headways there. In our correction division, we are making some headways there. We're, I think, 3 vacant positions in corrections right now. So we're getting the staffing back where it needs to be. And again, that's, I think, between a cooperation between the Board of Supervisors and the Sheriff's Office. And a lot of the recruitment that we're doing is bringing a lot of people into Lake County. A lot of these people are from Lake County, and that's where we've kind of focused a lot of our recruitment is within Lake County. It's sometimes difficult to hire somebody out of the Bay Area and get them up here for 2 years, and then their draw is back to the Bay Area, and then they go back to the Bay Area. So we've really kind of changed our focus in recruitment lately, where we're focusing on more of the rural areas, Northern California, Siskiyou, Tehama, those kind of areas where if we can get somebody to come down here and they're 2 hours away from where they live, we're more likely to retain them and keep them here in Lake County. So we've kind of focused that. And then they're used to that rural lifestyle. You guys know how it is. You know, you're used to the city lifestyle. That's what you want to live in. But if you come from a rural background, you come from that Tehama County, Del Norte, Humboldt, then you're more likely to stay in this rural environment because that's what you know and you understand, and that's what you like. And that's why you've chosen that path and that career. So we're making great strides in that area. Some of the things that I'm looking forward towards in the future is I'm very focused on training. I think training is very important. I want to bring more training to Lake County. I want to get our deputies to a lot more training. We do a really good job of that right now, but I think with everything that we do in law enforcement, we always have to kind of reevaluate what we're doing. And I like to steal kind of a idea from the business world. If you're not reinventing yourself every 5 years and you're not looking at your processes every 5 years, then you're kind of failing. And we need to do that, and we've been doing that, and we need to probably get a little bit better at that. But I think training is one of them. The more we can train a deputy, the more training we can give a deputy, the more confidence that deputy's gonna have in themselves, the more confidence in what they're doing they're gonna have, which turns into a better product when they come out and they interact with the community, because there's a less chance that they're gonna make a mistake or overreact or underreact in a situation. If they have that confidence and they have that training, we're gonna have that better service to our community. So those are some of the things that we've been working on. We're really pushing forward with it. Rob Howe is our current sheriff, and he's very supportive of that. And we're kind of making those strides and pushing it forward. Brian was also very supportive of that, but a lot of things come down to staffing and budgets and where are we going to spend that money and how are we going to do it that's fiscally responsible for our taxpayers. And I think by bringing some of those trainings to Lake County rather than sending our deputies to the trainings, we can get more deputies to the training. It's a little more cost effective for us. We pay the instructor to come here, but now we're not paying travel time, we're not paying hotel, we're not paying per diem because they're actually training here in Lake County. And we have a lot of venues for that, so we can start focusing on that. And then when we do that, we can get some of that supportive budgetary monies from other agencies, because then we can have the local police departments that are sending their deputies to our trainings and they're paying us for those trainings. Mendocino County sends a lot of people over here to train, because it's more easy for them and travel-wise, so it's kind of supporting that training, and I want to kind of bring that more here to Lake County. Some of the things I'm looking for in the future, once we get staffing back to where it needs, And I think we're going to be there in about a year, year and a half. We're going to be where staffing needs to be. Is I want to go back to a community-oriented based policing. And what that kind of looks like in my mind, and what we've talked about with the command staff, is where we have a deputy, and I think some of you guys that were here a long time ago, we had that where you had a deputy that was assigned to Middletown, and he worked Middletown. I think Dennis Keithley was assigned down here for a while, and there was another deputy, and they are assigned to Middletown for a year. That's where they work day in and day out. When they're on shift, they're in Middletown for an entire year. And I think that's very important because those responsibilities, they get to know the business owners, they get to know the people in the community, they get to know what the problems are in that community, and they can bring those back to the sheriff's office, and they can bring those back to the administration so that we can adjust to what's needed in this community. Because I've always said I don't like law enforcement when we provide a service to every single community and it looks exactly the same. Because what Middletown needs and how the service that Middletown needs is not the same as what Upper Lake needs or what Nice Lucerne needs or what Clear Lake Oaks needs. Every community has its problems, every community has its benefits, every community has a different dynamic within that community, and we need to tailor our services that we're providing to those communities based on what that community needs. And having that deputy that's assigned to that beat, like this is beat 7 Adam for us, they're assigned here, they work here, they know that. They're gonna be responsible as that beat deputy to come to these meetings. That's gonna be part of their assignment in the future, is that not only are they working this beat day in and day out, that's where they're assigned, but part of that assignment is they're gonna come to every community meeting and they're gonna listen to the community, they're gonna get the feedback, they're gonna talk to the community. What do you guys need? What are you seeing? How can we improve our services, and then bring that back to the sheriff's office so we can tailor that service that we're providing to that community. I want to bring back SROs. I think that's very important. That's school resource officers. I think that's very important to have that interaction with the kids. It's one of those things that we have to be very careful with. You have to have the right deputy for that. You have to have that deputy that is that mentoring type deputy that's going to be there. He's there to mentor the kids, to prevent problems, but the major thing is to have that interaction with the kids, to have that kind of mentoring relationship with the kids on that campus. So I think that's something we want to bring back. One thing that we're working on right now in the sheriff's office, we're actually talking with a culturally competent psychologist right now, and I think it's very important for the sheriff's office, and we're going to hopefully have a contract with her. We'll be taking it to the board here in the next couple months after the first of the year, is having a psychologist on contract for the sheriff's office. What I want to see started in the sheriff's office is a wellness program within the sheriff's office so that we're doing wellness checks with all of our staff at least once or twice a year, where all of our staff are required to go talk to this culturally competent psychologist. And what I mean by culturally competent is they come from the first responder world. They understand what the first responders see. They understand the things that they deal with, because we deal with coroner's cases, we deal with traffic accidents, we deal with all this violent stuff that most people don't see, and it has an effect on our deputies and it has an effect on our staff. And having them going in and doing these wellness checks to make sure that they're okay, that they're talking about these things, they're unloading those burdens that they're carrying around, again, turns out a better product and a better service to our community. Because how many of you have had, and what I like to say and talk about this is, how many people here have had stresses in their life, and you had a bad day and you came home and you kind of took it out on your spouse or your significant other or somebody else in your house because you were having a bad day. We've all done that. We've always had those stresses in our lives, and we've never had a place or an understanding of how to unburden ourselves from those. Well, a deputy's no different. They're humans just like everybody else. So if they're having those stresses, they saw something yesterday that's bothering them, and then they show up at your house because they have to deal with a problem or deal with a next door neighbor, is there a likelihood that they're going to allow those stresses to kind of dictate a little bit how they respond to our community and how they deal with our community members? Absolutely, it's human nature. So if we can do things to head that off and kind of give them that outlet and give them that place to talk about these things and kind of unburden themselves, then when they go out and they deal with our community and they're providing the services, we have a more likely probability that they're going to do the right thing and they're not going to allow that stresses and that stuff that's hanging on them to affect how they're doing their job. So I think that's very important, and I think that it's something that we're working on right now. Couple of other things I just want to make sure we cover. Transparency, I'm very big on transparency. I get that from Brian. Again, I kind of talked about at the beginning, I think that's one thing that in law enforcement we've gotten wrong for many, many years, is that we weren't transparent with our community. We weren't telling our community what we were doing, and it's caused us problems. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the one big thing right now, the big buzzword is de-escalation, right? De-escalation in law enforcement officers de-escalating. We've been teaching that in law enforcement in California for 10 years. We started that in 2012, 2013, 2014. A lot of the classes, I was a firearms instructor for the sheriff's office for a long time. We were teaching that back in 2012, 2013, 2014, but we as law enforcement weren't good about letting our community know that we changed our training and what we were doing, and that we were teaching these techniques to our deputies. That's a failure on our part for not being transparent with our community. I've had several conversations with different sheriffs, Tom Allman being one of them, and he kind of said something that's resonated with me. 95% of everything that we do in law enforcement within the sheriff's office is public business. So why are we not being transparent with our community and letting them know what we're doing? We should be, because 95% of what we're doing is your guys' business. The sheriff's office exists because of you, because of the community. We don't exist separate from it or apart from it. We exist because of you guys. So we should be transparent with you, and we should be sharing that information with you, and we should be answering those questions and coming to meetings like this and making ourselves available to answer questions that you have about how we're conducting business and how we're providing services to your communities. I think, you know, the business model, like I said, I think that's very important. We need to evaluate that, but I think we also need to get a lot better at acknowledging where we're failing. Nobody likes to acknowledge when you're failing, but I think we need to get better at that. We've been very good at it, but there's always room for improvement. I always like to say that just because we're doing something today doesn't mean we can't do it better tomorrow, and we need to look at what we're doing and talk about it. And if we've been doing it the same way for 20 years and it's working really well for 20 years and there's not a better way to do it, then we keep doing what we're doing. But if we're not evaluating it and just trying to figure out how we can do this better, then we're failing you as a community. We always need to look at what we're doing and how we can do it better to serve our community. That's pretty much what I had to come talk to you guys about today. So to make sure I covered it all. I will tell you, for me personally, I don't have a problem being challenged on things. I kind of enjoy it because, again, it makes me learn. I don't like to be comfortable. I think once you start to become comfortable, then you kind of get stagnant and you're not learning and you're not improving. So being challenged on things, being questioned on things and how we're doing things, I want that. I tell everybody that works for me, all my supervisors that are assigned to me, I want you to come into my office and I want you to tell me in a respectful way, of course, hey, Lieutenant, I think that's a really dumb idea, and this is why I think it's a dumb idea. Because if we don't do that, then we risk groupthink, and then nothing changes, and we don't improve, and we don't get better for the future. So I think that's one of the things with me, and I know I don't know everything. I'll be the first one to admit that. I know I don't know everything. So the more I get questioned, the more information I get, the better off we are, and the better off we're going to provide a service to our community that's right for each community. So thank you. And I'll answer any questions if anybody has them. So.
Thank you. I don't know, Monica, you want to do this, or I'll do it? Let's open it up. He's asking to be challenged, so let's challenge him.
Well, I shouldn't have said that, right?
Fletcher, we'll let you go second.
And everyone does need to use the mic.
Yeah, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Several months ago, the public defender was here, introduced himself, and gave an overview of what that department in the criminal justice system had in mind for Lake County. Are you familiar with their overview?
I am not. I read his article, and I read a little bit what he said in his article when he was appointed to the position, but I have not had an opportunity to speak with him.
Okay, let me give a summary as far as I can remember, and that is it was a holistic approach. That is, the criminal justice system will bring into a particular event social services, mental health, any department that will make a defendant part of a human process. You, as a law enforcement officer, have the duty to arrest. That is your primary function, to research or stop crime, investigate crime, and arrest those that commit crimes. I think that's your primary job. What is your feel? That's more traditional anyway. So where are you in that regard? Where do you stand in all that?
I agree with it to a certain extent.
Which one?
I believe we need to have a holistic approach to prosecution to a certain extent. And what I like to use is drugs. That's always a big thing in communities. And if hopefully I'll answer that by answering this question also. When it comes to narcotics in our communities, do I believe that anybody who is addicted to narcotics and using narcotics, do they need to go to prison? No, because are we solving the problem? Are we giving them tools and an opportunity to solve the problem and to break that addiction cycle? No, we're not. So bringing in those other services, the rehabilitation, the social services to help them break that addiction cycle is very important. But you also have to have, it's like the carrot and the stick. You still have to have the stick, because somebody in that addiction cycle is not going to take always the avenue to break that cycle. So you still have to have that enforcement side. You still have to have that stick. So, for example, you catch somebody who's causing a problem in the community, they're under the influence of a controlled substance. The first time you arrest them, the first time we have to deal with them, you're going to bring them in, you're going to give them that carrot, you're going to give them that opportunity to go to rehabilitation, you're going to give them that opportunity, the tools that they need to break that cycle. The second time we catch them, okay, we're going to use a little bit of the carrot, but this time we're going to have to use a little bit of that stick, which is probation and kind of maybe an outpatient rehabilitation program. The third time that they're involved in the justice system, now we need to go a little bit different, because obviously we're not solving the problem. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the stick side of things, where maybe they go to their sentence, rather than being sentenced to county jail or being sentenced to prison, they're going to be sentenced to an inpatient facility where they're going to get the treatment that they need and hopefully break that cycle. So bringing that holistic approach to all crimes, I think, to a certain extent is okay. There's some crimes that I'm sorry, if you kill somebody or you molest somebody or you rape somebody, you need to go to prison. Those are just crimes that we can't bring a holistic approach to. You committed a very violent, heinous crime, you go to prison. But if you're having problems and some of those problems are causing you to commit thefts, or you have a drug problem which is causing you to commit thefts, simply putting you in prison or putting you in jail is not going to resolve that issue. We need to get better at providing tools, services on how to break that socioeconomic or that drug problem or that addiction problem to help you, so that we get you to stop committing those crimes. Mental health, same thing. We need to get people into that system so that we're helping them rather than just punishing them and turning them right back out on the street again to do the same thing they were doing before they were arrested.
Well, I thought that the best deterrent to a criminal was a sure and just punishment. That is what deters a criminal, not the fact that if they commit a crime, they'll be able to get rehab.
Yes and no. Unfortunately, I've seen in my dealings with a lot of people that the punishment doesn't always fix the problem. I've dealt with, since I have been a deputy in Lake County for 25 years, I've been dealing with these same people for 25 years. I know their names. I've personally arrested them 3, 4, 5 times. I know deputies who have arrested them 3, 4, 5 times.
That's what I mean.
They've done 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years in state prison. They come out and they start doing the same things again. We have to find another approach to break that cycle. And if the punishment coupled with the social services, the rehabilitation, the counseling is going to break the cycle, then I'm all for trying it.
Thank you. Fletcher, you said you were,
I think Rosemary here.
Okay.
Question. question.
I was gonna have Fletcher go second. Okay.
I'll wait.
Thank you.
So, yeah, each cycle where there's a new sheriff, we have heard this assurance about getting that South County, the substation staffed. We've heard it again and again. And I appreciate that you say 1 to 1.5 years, but we really are at a disadvantage because we're so safe, but we want to stay safe. And it's a problem when we call in and there's, like, my neighbor had their home burglarized. And the nearest deputy, I guess they were in Spring Valley. And there's not going to be any urgent attention to that issue. And it ends up, I feel as though South County is often neglected because we're safer. But we want it to stay safer because we love it so much. And I'm very much interested in having you come out. It sounds like you are our sheriff. I hope you'll commit to coming back regularly and collaborating with us. Because, like, if you're not available to staff it, but you are going to help us set up a neighborhood watch program. I know about, like, the camera registration, just even reminding us of how we can stay engaged at keeping our community safe and help us keep it the safest part of Lake County.
Yes.
So,
I'm very open to that. Like I said, I'm very much want to hear from the communities and be involved and have deputies involved in the community, so we're getting that information for you guys. It is a commitment to have deputies assigned to that community-oriented policing model where we have that deputy assigned to Lake County, assigned to the different towns so that they're working here. That is the goal of ours. Unfortunately, it's been a struggle for us with staffing. It's been a 5-year struggle for us with staffing, which kind of hurts a lot. There's a lot of times where, honestly, and I don't like to say it, but there's a lot of times in Lake County where we have 2 deputies and 1 sergeant for the entire county of Lake. That's, I think, roughly 52,000 community members that live in the unincorporated areas of Lake County, plus or minus. I could be off a little bit there. And we have 2 deputies and 1 sergeant responsible for that. And it's a struggle for us. And it's not safe for our deputies either. It's not, it really isn't. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have response times of an hour sometimes to different calls for service. And that's not what we should be doing. We need to improve our staffing so we can have those deputies in the communities where they need to be.
do you envision that SRO as being the same person as the 7?
No.
No?
No, there would be a deputy assigned to Middletown area, and then there would also be an SRO assigned to the school if the school wanted it. And there's a lot of grant money out there. There's a lot of school districts that pay for that, so that wouldn't actually be coming out of the sheriff's office budget. It'd be coming out of either grant positions through, I think it's Prop 58 money, 56 money, something like that. That is funded through the Board of Education and through Lake County Education, which comes to the sheriff's office for that SRO in that school, and they'd be 2 different deputies.
Yeah, actually, even as you say that, like, if there were an active shooter in Middletown and there are only 2 deputies, like, where would response come from?
All over the county. We actually have an active shooter protocol with all law enforcement agencies in Lake County, and then we also have MOUs with Mendocino County and Sonoma County and Napa County. So if we have an active shooter, I'd like to say it's like pulling the big red handle. Every single law enforcement agency is notified that we have an incident, and they all respond. So that'd be the Clear Lake Police Department, Lakeport, State Parks, Fish and Game, Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Office, the DA investigators. Every sworn peace officer in Lake County responds to that scene and that incident. And then we also notify Napa, Sonoma, and Mendo counties, and then they respond with their tactical teams. So.
Okay. Thank you. And as you ask a question, if you could please introduce yourself also, and we will get to the folks on Zoom in just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Fletcher?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Retention of staff is not just a problem for the sheriff's department, but the entire county. I think that the last time our sheriff was here, he talked about some bonus programs, continuing education, and things to help retain the staff at the sheriff's office. I don't believe there's anything more important than the deputies knowing the people in the area and the people in the area knowing the deputies. You know, are you taking steps to do better retention? I've met sheriffs and, oh, how you doing? We talk and we had fundraisers and 6 months later, they're gone. They're in Sonoma, Napa, Contra Costa County as sheriffs, making considerably more than they do here. So is there anything we can do to help the sheriff's department improve the retainage of our trained and deputies that know the area and we know them? Is there anything we can do to help?
More money. Off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for you on that one. That's something we could definitely discuss. If anybody has any ideas, I'm open to listening to them. I think one of the things that, again, like I said earlier, we focus on right now is trying to recruit from rural areas, so that we're not pulling somebody from somewhere where they have family that's 4 or 5 hours away. That's a draw for them to go back. I think we've done that in the past, and we got recruitment easily enough to get deputies because they wanted a job, but we keep them for 2 or 3 years and then they go home. So we've kind of, in the last 2 years, really focused on hiring people that are local, that want to be in law enforcement, and that definitely helps. And then hiring people from rural areas where we can hire somebody from Colusa or Tehama, it's 2 hours to go home and visit their family versus 5 hours to go to Modesto or San Bernardino to visit their family. So we've really been focusing on that. Again, the Board of Supervisors has been very cooperative with us and worked with us very well. We've gotten some pay raises recently that has really helped out, and I think kept a few people that were kind of looking at leaving, and that's kept them here, which has been very good. I think what we really do in the sheriff's office that has helped a lot is culture too. And again, we talk about training. We're very big on training in Lake County, and we like to send our deputies to a lot of training, which also helps because that keeps them here. Because you go to a lot of deputies start to realize you go to a bigger agency and you don't get the same training that you get here in Lake County, which is kind of a double-edged sword because we're turning out better deputies than a lot of agencies, and so then they kind of get poached a lot. I know 14 deputies that used to work for Lake County that now work for the Napa County Sheriff's Office, and I've had conversations with some of my counterparts in Napa County, and they kind of joke with, you keep training them, we'll keep hiring them. Because we turn out really good deputies. We expect a lot from our deputies. We expect them to do their job and not just be the person in the car driving around. We expect them to get out there and investigate crime and do what they need to do well, and that teaches them a lot of experience, which makes them very marketable, which kind of hurts too. But I think that helps to the culture of the department, and I think we have a really good culture of the department right now, which kind of makes it a good place to come to work every day. You know, I'm sure you guys have all had jobs where you go to work every day and you don't really don't want to go to work. I think most of our deputies, if not all of them, enjoy coming to work every day because of the culture we have. We're very, one of the things that that I see here in our agency that I've had the opportunity to work at other agencies that I don't see is that the brand new deputy in the sheriff's office can come to me and say, hey, Luke, how are you doing today? And I'm okay with that. I don't expect them to call me sir or lieutenant, and I think we have a very first name basis kind of culture in our department, which also makes it very family oriented, and it makes deputies really comfortable with being there. You know, the sheriff, the captain, the lieutenant aren't unapproachable within the department, and I think that helps a lot, and so we kind of focus on that. So, thank you.
Thank you. One more here.
Hi, name's Charlie. Your predecessor, Martin, he pretty much stopped the whole thing where you go out there and you take out the big grow sites and everybody shaves their beard and they're going to put them all on the streets and we're going to have a whole different program. One of the things is we have this huge monster called, growing weed now that's legal, and there was supposed to be a hell of a lot of tax monies coming towards your office. And one of the things that concerns me the most is it's horrifying that all this data has come back on what weed does to the brain of our kids. I mean, we know now that 1982, I could smoke a joint and act like I was high when I wasn't. Now you are going to get, it causes schizophrenia, all kinds of stuff. Where do you stand? You know, you talked about murder and rape. Where do you stand about a guy who's going out there and giving this stuff to kids, that are under age 18? I mean, the adult brain, go ahead and screw that one up. But I want someone to work hard and pay my Social Security when I grow old. So, are we using that money to stop that kind of stuff? I mean, because it's kind of pushed the ball down the road. It's not like we go out and burn down, fields full of weed. Now we got to worry about the brains of children, because this stuff is very scientifically powerful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a problem in our community. It's a balancing act for the sheriff's office, because when it comes to illegal enforceable crime versus if it's permitted either county or state, it's kind of a dicey area for us. And we have to be very careful about that, because if we dive into the wrong cultivation site and we're incorrect on that, then we're going to get sued in federal court. It's going to cost us a lot of money. I've been sued in federal court before when I was working on narcotics for enforcing different marijuana laws. It happens. So we have to be very careful of that. It's a balancing act. We have 2 deputies assigned to marijuana enforcement right now that are experts in that, and they do a really good job. They're very focusing on the illegal grows and a lot of the nuisance grows that we're dealing with. As far as giving it to kids, absolutely. I don't think there's a tolerance for that. And I wouldn't have a tolerance for that. I think that's something that we would enforce without question. Like you said, giving it, selling it to adults, you're 25, 28, 30 years old. Okay, are we really going to focus on that? Or do we have better things to put our resources to? Maybe. It depends on what's going on. But when it comes to children, no. I think that's a zero tolerance enforcement, in my opinion.
Okay, so you would rather see them go to jail?
Yes.
Okay. No rehab or anything like that?
Well, I think harming kids, I kind of draw the line at harming kids. Okay. I mean, kind of the libertarian side of me says that, when you're an adult, as long as you're not affecting the community and you're not affecting anybody else, live your life however you want to live your life. I'm not going to judge you or tell you how to live your life. You're an adult. But if you're preying on kids, for a lack of a better term, I have a zero tolerance for that. Yeah.
Okay, we have some questions from Zoom. Kate, would you go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
Hello, Sheriff. My name is Kate Schmidt-Hopper. I was encouraged to hear that you are an advocate of de-escalation training, and that, but I have to admit, I'm somewhat surprised that you say that it has taken place since 2014, because I hear many reports of situations where, in fact, de-escalation training does not seem to be applied. So it doesn't seem to actually be incorporated into the mindset of the responding officers. So if you could give us a brief rundown of the de-escalation training and how there's follow-up on that if there is citizens' complaints that, in fact, de-escalation training was not implemented in their interaction with law enforcement. And I'll mute. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's a part of all the training that we do within the Sheriff's Office, from defensive tactics, use of force training to firearms training, is that de-escalation component. Unfortunately, some situations, it can't be applied. If violence is occurring right now against a member of the community, we can't employ de-escalation training. Our number one responsibility in law enforcement is the preservation of life. That's what we're here for. That's the number one responsibility of law enforcement. And in certain situations, unfortunately, because of the dynamic of that situation, it can't be implemented. In other situations, we can, and we have used it in other situations. I've seen deputies do it, and I've done it personally myself. We focus on that in our trainings. It's part of our trainings. We've been doing it for many years. We do what's called perishable skills training. So every 2 years, every deputy goes through perishable skills training. It's about 30 hours of perishable skills training that they go through, and the emphasis is always on de-escalation and techniques of talking to people, maybe stepping back, stepping away, still maintaining that that community safety mindset and then officer safety mindset, but kind of stepping back and kind of letting people vent a little bit rather than, okay, well, I got to get to the next call. Well, let's take a little extra 20 minutes and just let them vent, because sometimes that's all people want to do is they want to be heard. So we focus on that. And like I've said, there's always room for improvement. I don't care if it's today or tomorrow or 10 years from now, after we've been doing this for 20 years of de-escalation, there's always room for improvement, and we're always going to be working to get better at it. We're never, ever going to be perfect at anything. I don't think anybody is. You can always get better, you can always learn more, and you can always do a better job. And we focus on that. We're going to continue to focus on that.
Thank you. Any more questions? From online? Okay, hold on. One here in the back of the room.
Hi, my name is Marlene Elder, and since we are so good at training officers, I don't know what the rules, regulations, laws are, or whatever, but maybe we should think about opening up like an academy in this area, and then while we have them here under our influence, we can convince them how nice it would be for them to stay here when they graduate. I don't know if that's an option, but it's something to think about maybe.
I like your thought. I like that thought.
It is an option. I've actually thought about that many times over the years, what it would look like to have a police academy in Lake County. Unfortunately, it comes down to post regulations, post requirements to establish academy. You have to have a college. It has to be community college based, so the community college would have to be interested in supporting that type of a program. I don't know if they are or not. We've never approached them about it. But then it also comes down to basic economics. What's it going to cost, and is it going to be cost neutral for us? And I think, just off at the top of my head, I'm going to say probably not, because we have Santa Rosa Police Academy, you have the Sacramento Police Academy, we have so many other law enforcement academies very close to us, that I think it would be a struggle to convince people to come to Lake County to attend a police academy when they can go to Santa Rosa and attend a police academy where you have all of the amenities and all of those kind of things. So, but I think that's where bringing some of those trainings to Lake County, some of the post-certified trainings to Lake County, and actually hosting them here in Lake County, which we've done several times. I'm actually kind of proud of this because myself and a couple of my other instructors worked on it. We actually have post-certified trainings now that we have developed in the sheriff's office and that we've sent to Post, sent our curriculums to Post. One of them I wrote, and Post has approved them, and we now teach them in Lake County through the sheriff's office, and we have other agencies coming to us to learn how to do these different post-certified trainings. So, and I want to kind of expand that and increase that, and maybe that will hopefully help us recruit some people to Lake County. You come here, you see it. You're coming from Tehama County, Colusa County. You come here, you train with us, you see our culture, you see our department, you see our rural lifestyle, and maybe we can convince some of them to lateral over and jump ship and come to the sheriff's office.
If I can ask one final question. Again, I'm Monica Rosenthal. Along that same line, how long does it take to train an individual once they express an interest in becoming a Lake County sheriff? How long is that training process?
They have to attend a 6-month academy. Right now, that it is changing in the future. There was a Senate bill that was passed, I believe, 2 years ago, and off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what the Senate bill was. It was passed by the governor, and it goes into effect, I believe, in 2026, where it will be a requirement that every law enforcement officer in the state of California have a minimum of an AA degree prior to being a peace officer. I'm kind of hoping that right now, the last I checked on it, it is to the chancellor of community colleges to develop a curriculum and what AAs will be accepted. You won't be able to get an AA and say underwater basket weaving and qualify to be a peace officer. It will have to be in some type of identified discipline like criminal justice or psychology or something like that before you can even attend a police academy to be a peace officer. I'm hoping that they're going to stagger that in rather than just flipping a switch and saying that on January 1st, 2026, you can't be a peace officer without an AA degree, because that is really going to hurt our recruitment. Because all of a sudden you're going to have a bunch of people that want to be peace officers, but now they have to spend a year and a half, 2 years obtaining an AA degree and then attending a police academy. So you're looking at 30 months before they can even come out and start the FTO program. So I'm hoping they stagger that in where they can say that over 3 years, so starting in January of 2026, you have 3 years to obtain your AA after attending the police academy. 2027, you have 2 years. 2028, you have 1 year, and kind of stagger that in for us so that we don't have that just drop off the cliff where we can't recruit anybody for 2 years.
Don't they make an exception for military guys that have 4 years of military training in law enforcement?
No, there will not be an exception from my understanding. So right now, currently, when we hire a deputy into our deputy trainee program, it's a 6-month police academy that we send them to. And then after they graduate the police academy, it's a minimum of a 4-month field training program. So you're looking at 10 months before that they are a solo deputy working on their own, if they complete the FTO program in 4 months. Sometimes we'll extend them to 5 months depending on how they're doing in the program. So it could be anywhere from 10 to 15, 16 months, or I'm sorry, 10 to 11, 12 months before they're actually a solo deputy on their own. But that training doesn't stop because they're still on probation and we're still training them, because I have always said this: you can do the job, but you are not a proficient, generally speaking, especially for me, I can tell you from my own experience. It took me about 3 to 4 years before I came to work and I felt comfortable that it didn't matter what my dispatch sent me to, I could handle that call. And it took me a good 3 years of training and doing the job and mentoring by my sergeants and mentoring by the FTOs before I felt really comfortable that I can come and I can handle this job. No matter what my dispatch sends me to, I know I can handle it. So even though we get a deputy off the FTO program, we're still training them. We're still working with them. Our sergeants are still mentoring them. They're still building them up, and they're still learning.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else?
When do you take office?
If there's not a write-in candidate, I would be officially the sheriff-elect on March 5th of 2024. And then I would take office in January of 2025.
Perfect.
I like the answer you gave on the education thing. I was a little surprised because it seems like the training for your department and what I saw when I was on the grand jury and reviewing your department and all this other kind of stuff, training doesn't stop.
No.
The training keeps going, and like we talked about with the emergency services and some of the other things that are going on in the county, that training doesn't stop and it keeps on going, and people keep getting better, and we seem to have a knack for doing that. And I like the idea of the vocational training coming to Lake County. I've been a supporter of, I think one of the biggest assets that Lake County has is space and availability of service of facilities to be able to handle VOTEC, and I think we should be having more here. The only issue that I see from it is the fact that we don't have a lot of good housing to be able to house these people from when they come here for their training.
Yep.
But anyway, if everybody is through with their questions, then we'll draw the line, and I don't know, we probably didn't make the timeline, did we?
No. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And I will just add, if anybody has any questions outside of this that you can think of in the next day or something like that, I'm open for conversation. So give me a call the sheriff's office, ask for me. They'll send you to my desk, leave me a message, I'll call you back, and I'll answer your question the best I can.
So what is that number to reach you at?
You just call the sheriff's office at 707-262-4200. You'll get our reception and just say that you would like to speak to Lieutenant Bingham, and they'll send you to my desk. And if I'm not there, leave me a voicemail.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Bingham. Yes. All right, we'll move on with the agenda. Sure. Next item on the agenda is our business. So in the first item under our business is the approval of the meeting minutes. Thank you. Fletcher Thornton has moved to accept. Are there any comments or second?
I'll second.
Ken Gonzalez has second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Correspondence is next on the agenda.
Just the usual correspondence from the Board of Supervisors agenda and Cannabis Task Force, which you could find online or get that. But that's it, Monica, that I got.
I think there was one item that came in, a major use permit.
Oh, that. Well, I thought you were going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, well, there's a couple. So there's one, for the first time in quite a while, actually, the math group and myself were copied on an upcoming project. So there is a major use permit for a cannabis project on Jerusalem grade that we received notice of. Comment on that project is open. Is my mic working? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I just turned it down because you got real hot. Okay. Comment on that project, I believe, is open through January 2nd.
Yeah, I think it's the 28th, according to the letter we got. So we're here from Jerusalem grade, and we're not, I mean, all of our neighbors grow weed, so it's not like it's a normal thing for us. But this is a really, really big grow in the heart of Jerusalem grade in the residential area. And the proposal is the Biblical Ventures LLC at 21378 Jerusalem grade. And it consists of 22 30 by 100 greenhouses with mixed use light, which means that the sky will be very bright at night during most of the year, a good portion of the year. There's also several processing buildings, metal structures, 40 to 50 feet in size. And so it's in about a 3-acre plot of land in an area that is very wet. There's vernal pools near it. There's a lot of water going into it. And so we're just a little concerned at the scale of this. It was kind of surprising. He is my neighbor. I've had communication with him for years. I've spent a lot of time on that property with the previous neighbors. And so they also have olive orchards, which we'll talk about how much water that gets used, but our water is a concern. The runoff, the area that he is proposing, I went through the biological report, and there was actually a disturbance to the previous stream by the previous owner, and I put a road in with a culvert underneath it. So the normal stream now completely diffuses into the entire area that the proposal is. And so that's like, and then all that water kind of gathers into a stream that's right behind our house. And it's a pretty active ephemeral stream. So there's also looking at the surveys that were done. There was a survey done in May and July, and that is really past the main growing season of almost all of the plants that grow there. So there's a lot of wildflowers and forbs in the area, and there are some sensitive species in the area, even according to the biological report. So we're not totally against this, but it's the size and the scale, and we're not sure if surveys should probably be done much sooner in the year, like March, when everything is actually growing. By May, most of the stuff has died off. So we're all here from the valley, and we all wanted to just express our concern that this is a really big project in the heart of, Jerusalem Grade, which has its own issues. So I guess I'll pass it on to Brenda. Oh, and my name's Rachel.
Thank you,
Sorry about that.
I am Brenda, and I've lived out in this neighborhood for 13 years. I absolutely adore it, mostly for the night skies, and super upset about the proposition of all that light pollution going off. But I was not in receipt of one of the notices because I'm not a direct neighbor. I am off the same road, and the roads are horrible. We're supposed to be, to some point, the county's not responsible. We, the neighbors, are responsible, and none of the other canna growers that are big and all the way down the road do jack about the roads. They're just horrible, and so it's just more of the same. So, yeah, the scale, the size of the processing plants they're trying to put at. I can just imagine how many employees are going to be coming off that road every day, and nobody slows their roll. Our trees are all brown. Nobody cares about the wildlife or the domestic animals or the kids running around. So it's pretty upsetting. And I think I speak for many of my neighbors. We'll all be writing letters to the county.
So this is a correspondence that was received by M.A.T.H. And it is a project that currently, just if I can take a moment, if you have further comment, that's great. But if I can just take a moment to explain a little bit about the process right now is, again, this is a comment that came, or a notification that came forward for review. It is currently, has currently been sent to the agencies, and that's where on a list, M.A.T.H. is on a list as one of the agencies, although we're not, an official agency, but we're kind of the, anyway, we're on the list. But it is going to the Ag Commissioner, the Air Quality Control. It is going, to the various different departments, Water Resources, et cetera. What will happen with this is that, and according to this notice, it does say that they would like to receive comment as soon as possible, but no later than January 2nd in regard to this project. And again, this is from the agencies. At that point, when all of the agencies have responded, then the project, the staff will put together a report gathering up all that information from the agencies, and they'll build their staff report from there and work to plan a date for it to go in front of the Planning Commission. So it's not necessary that M.A.T.H. has to respond here by January 2nd, but this is a project. This is giving us notice that this project is coming up. And for those of us, or if M.A.T.H. is to be concerned about this project as a whole and wishes to comment on this future, that we need to follow the progress. And of course, because this is a major use permit, it is 54.1 acres on 2 different parcels there, that, we follow the process and do make a comment at some point.
Be put on our agenda at the right time.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, sir, did you want to say a couple things about this project?
Yeah, if it's helpful for that process, yes. Yeah, well, as Rachel had mentioned, I am also a direct neighbor of this individual, and I will say that he is a very nice person. I enjoy his neighborhood, but I'm not particularly fond of this project. They are currently growing cannabis on the property, and nobody is there living there and maintaining it. The olive orchard that exists is not maintained. And I know this because I've gone there as a neighbor to fix the plumbing that's been spewing water out. This proposal proposes to put in or extend an existing driveway down to their grow site, which I find unnecessary since there already is a driveway that goes to there. But if they needed an additional driveway, I would suggest that came from Burnt Oak, which is more accessible for evacuation if needed. Well, yeah, in addition to I don't know how many gallons are estimated, but the tremendous amount of water that this would use, that would be in addition to the 9,000 or so gallons per day used to feed the existing olive orchard. So the amount of water is much bigger than what is really estimated on the proposal there. Yeah, so the other concern I have is the amount of the people that it would take to maintain this project. There's not any infrastructure in place to house those people or to just even keep them comfortable with bathrooms and so forth. There's one double wide trailer on the property, and I happen to know this personally that the septic tank has failed. So I don't know how they're gonna.
But I think all of this information is gonna come out through the agency reports.
Okay.
And then at that time, we'll review it, and if it's insufficient, then they'll,
As long as it's on some record somewhere.
yes.
Hey, oops, sorry about
So,
that.
okay.
But I think it is important too to be able to have this put into the minutes, which goes to the agency as well.
Yes.
And that's why I'm supporting it a little bit.
Okay.
Hi, Carla Giovacchini. I'm a resident of Raccoon Flat. I've been there for greater than 23 years, and I am deeply concerned because this very large project is going into a small rural residential community. This is not out in the boondocks somewhere. This is not out on the highway. This is in 5-acre parcels, where a bunch of people out there that kind of like to live and let other people live. This is different. The document states plus or minus 8 acre feet, which is 2.6 million gallons per year, but there is no way of knowing. They can use any amount of water that they want. It's just what they've put in there. I also am someone that loves to be able to look at the night sky, and we have beautiful, dark skies out there, and I'm deeply concerned about the loss of our night sky. I have to say, we do want to see that that this mitigated negative declaration is declined. This requires a full environmental impact report. And I have to say, you're dealing with a feisty bunch of people. We did fight Six Sigma 20-some years ago. We appealed this through the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisor. We sued the County of Lake in the county courts, and we appealed this up through the state of California.
Okay,
In the process.
So at this point, what you could, as a group here, you could ask that this math group then submit a comment that definitely we want to remain informed. So, okay. Of course. No, at this point in time, I would say that we're just submitting a comment. We're replying to what we received and just saying that Math is interested in this project and wants to be kept in the loop. So, but at this point, I would reserve any further comment on that until we have all of that information back from the agencies and have, so to speak, factual information to comment on.
So you're going to write a letter back to the county?
It's not a letter, it's just responding to the form here.
Responding to the form.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna ask right now if this body would like us to do so. And I would, as a request, anyone? Rosemary?
It's Rosemary Cordova again. So I'm troubled that we keep kind of hitting the same problem of we request to be on this list for the RFR, the request for review from county agencies, where we are one of those agencies, where we would put our opinion in that goes into the staff report. We don't yet really have a good mechanism for saying, we have a subcommittee, the subcommittee reviews it, they come up with a pro and con statement that we can all vote on at the meeting in advance of the planning commission hearing. So we are, in fact, an agency that is holding our responsibility to provide the RFR responsibly. So you're asking right now for something that we don't really have the system in place for. There's not really something that we can vote on. And we often hear this when single projects come up, because we've heard about this biblical one before, and I was just Googling that one that's on Grange, which looks like it's going to be around where the Comstock Ranch is. When the individual projects come up, we get, you know, we have groups of people who are saying, not in my backyard, and here are all the problems with it. And I'm very much in solidarity with the troubles that you face with this and the difficulties of enforcement. The thing is, like, the Cannabis Task Force is actually getting together now, which is setting policies, and then we'll have to, like, work on enforcement. But I feel.
So Rosemary, would you like to suggest that we put this on for the February meeting?
Well,
to
of course, then it
discuss
will be
this?
too late for.
Well, no, but it's not. As far as we can move forward, again, it's just a simple response here on this form that we received. So if this body would so like the board here, which would be myself, to move forward with doing so, please say yes.
I'll request that it go on there then,
Yeah.
and let the voices be heard.
Authorized to notify the,
You want a speaker?
do I want a speaker?
We do everything
I
with a
am
mic
speaking.
now.
That
So
I
that
make a
you're
motion
recorded.
that we authorize by voice vote the chairperson to notify the county that we would be very interested in any correspondence or any action taken on this property so that we can put it on our agenda.
Thank you. Second?
Thank you.
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
Somebody have a comment? Hold on.
Okay, Nanette has second?
I'll third it.
So moved. Is this a question on Zoom on this
Yeah,
particular
there is,
project?
we have a raised hand. I'm going to start off with Lisa Kaplan. You had a comment to make, Lisa? Go ahead and unmute.
Well, it was before you called for this to move forward, but I do want to know,
can't hear you.
Monica, is there really no reason to put it on the agenda for next time? It needs to wait until, next time we have such a packed day, don't we? Does it really need to wait till February?
You'll need to speak a little bit closer to your microphone. We're just,
I want to know if it really needs to wait till February to be on the agenda.
I believe that's what you guys just voted on.
We just voted.
So it will be,
No, I asked if it has to wait. Can't it be on January?
No, we have a forum on January. Thank you, Lisa.
okay, and then we have a question by, one second, I believe it was Kate that raised her hand. Kate, you want to unmute?
I was just voting for adding it as agenda item.
Thank
Oh,
you.
okay, you were voicing your, okay, thank you. And that looks like it'll do it for Zoom.
Thank you. All in favor?
Anybody? Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. On to the next item, under the County of Lake Cannabis News, and this is just news that I have received outside of the math group as the chair. One, the Lake County Cannabis Task Force is looking for a new South Lake County representative to serve on that task force. I don't have the information handy as far as who to contact, other than it's through the County of Lake HR department. So I've not been able to find the actual posting of this assignment, but anyway, I'm told that it is through the HR department of the County of Lake. So if anyone is interested,
Is that an appointment not by this committee, but by the supervisor?
that is by the supervisors, yes.
Well, maybe we should wait until the supervisor is here.
I'm letting people know, because if they have an interest, they can contact their supervisor and say, I would like to be on the task force. Okay? Yeah. So that's all. It's just an informational piece. The next item is another major use permit for a cannabis cultivation project on Grange Road. So this is something we did not get a notice on beforehand. I don't know when this project is slated to go in front of the planning commissioner, in front of the planning commission.
I'm John Hess, I'm the planning commissioner.
Yes, I was just gonna ask you.
It
The
would
mic?
be February at the earliest. And
Yes,
who knows?
correct.
Depends on, the staff will take as long as they need, to prepare the report, and the director will sign off on that. So, but there can be hiccups along the way.
Perfect. Okay, so this is a project that has gone through the agency review, except for us. So we have not seen this, but we have the information and the links if anyone is interested in reviewing this in depth, so that we are prepared when it does get posted to go on to the Planning Commission agenda. This particular project, there is some concern mainly about the water area. And again, this is another large project off of Grange Road. Hold on just a minute.
19 acres?
Yes, it's like 20 acres, 19.6 acres.
I think that's the size of the property, not necessarily the size of the.
Yeah, and so that's what's unclear. The same as with the last project with 54 acres, whether that's the entire project or not. But anyway, there is some language in here in regard to the water, that, anyway, if you're interested, I would say read it. If this is something that we would like M.A.T.H to get more involved in or to comment on, again, I'm leaving that up to you, the M.A.T.H group here, then to bring that to the board and let us know what your desire is in regard to that project. Marlene, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if M.A.T.H is going to be sending out the links to these projects.
Well, I think there was a link. Marlene was asking if M.A.T.H will be sending out the links. Did that go out?
Usually, I believe that these things are public knowledge, on, at the County of Lake, so you could find that information there. I normally don't put that many links on the minutes or send out a special thing.
That would be on the planning commission's page on the county website.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Did that get out?
Okay. So, any other comments or questions on that project? Okay, moving on to M.A.T.H elections. In reviewing the nominations for the elections, and again, elections are open for the last couple of months and this month. And currently, we have 3 people that have been nominated. That would be Nanette, Julia Bono, and Bill Waite. Do we have any additional nominations for the M.A.T.H board? Rosemary?
I'd like to nominate Lisa Kaplan. Who's on PEG?
Who's on Zoom?
Zoom.
Yeah, I'm on Zoom. Could you tell me who's leaving again?
I didn't understand that.
Who's leaving? Who's not gonna be, whose positions are up?
Todd, Bill, and Rosemary.
Oh, okay.
Rosemary has decided not to run? Or you?
Decided. Well, I don't know that I decided anything.
Okay,
In this moment, I'm nominating Lisa.
okay.
When are the nominations closed?
Tonight, right now. Lisa, what say you? Do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I'm okay with it right
Okay.
now.
What did she say?
I don't know what's wrong with my audio. I'm okay with it right now.
Okay. Marlene, would you like to nominate Rosemary?
Todd will nominate Rosemary.
It seems like I'm super happy that people are stepping up, going in, so like, if I am called upon to fill a position, I'm happy to do it, but I don't need to do it if there's not a need.
Can you repeat that, please, into the mic?
I decline. I decline. But thank you.
Okay, so Rosemary has been nominated and has elected to decline. Do we have any further nominations? Anything on Zoom?
I see nothing on Zoom.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, can we just be clear about what's at large and what's Middletown? Like what's the distribution of things? I actually might want to rescind my declination.
You mean boundaries?
Well, so let's see, I'm Middletown.
And I'm at large.
Where's our Hidden Valley?
Me?
Bill is Hidden Valley.
That was changed. All those boundaries were changed because we couldn't get people from certain areas. So anything other than
Middletown.
was at large.
Yes.
That was changed years ago.
Bill is Hidden Valley.
So there's not a need to fill a Middletown spot.
No, there's not. Both Ken and I are currently on the board, or we were elected last year.
Wait, aren't you guys
So-
at large too? Are you within the boundary?
I'm in Middletown. I am Middletown.
Doesn't Lisa Kaplan live in
Yeah.
She's Hidden
Yes.
Valley.
Yes.
But that's
Okay,
at
I'm
large.
good.
Yeah.
There is no Hidden Valley vote.
So again, I don't think it's an issue right now. We have 4 people nominated
3 slots.
for 3 slots. Yes.
But-
Okay.
I make a motion that
So-
nominations be closed.
Rosemary, please accept. Because then
Okay,
can-
I have a motion on the floor to close the nominations.
Second?
No, wait. I'm asking
Wait,
Rosemary
if
to
you get
please
the vote,
accept
you
in
don't rescind
case
the
I
vote.
have to
Please
rescind
try to
because
talk.
of work.
One more time, Lisa?
If she would like to.
Rosemary has declined. So did you want to change your mind? No, Rosemary's shaking her head. She has declined. Marlene?
I have a question about where Nanette lives. Is that still within the Middletown boundaries, or is that an at-large? Would she be at-large? Because she's kind of down south of town.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's
where-
outside of Middletown.
So she's an at-large. So her and Bill,
Well, Bill said,
and Lisa would all be at-large, and then Julie would be the only Middletown.
Does it matter anymore? I
it
thought
does,
we
it
were saying
does
it doesn't
not,
matter.
it does not matter. So I have
Yeah.
a first and a second
Doesn't
on the
matter.
table to close nominations.
I second, or,
right.
I'd say.
No, Bill Waite
Okay,
second.
so
Fletcher
wait,
Thornton
I
has,
have to say something. I need to ask, can you hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me?
yes, please.
Okay. If somebody else wants to run instead of me, I encourage that, especially people from Jerusalem.
Okay,
Grove.
that's very nice, Lisa, but unless you want to rescind your acceptance,
And she don't.
we have no other nominations on the floor or on Zoom, so we will proceed with the vote. Shall we close nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Okay. Nominations are closed. So as we have determined at the last meeting, we will hold the election after the forum in January, at the January meeting. Okay, so moving on to closing comments. We are on public input.
I have a comment, ma'am.
So we have 3 minutes for public input for anything not on the agenda, and Fletcher Thornton has raised his hand.
It's the only reason I came.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't need that.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But you enjoyed listening to
I
Lieutenant?
came up here because I heard some strange stories about the trail that's going in. Most of you are familiar with it. It goes from the arena out to the casino. And I've heard that people are saying that Moak got that done as supervisor so it would feed the casino. I want to tell you that is absolutely incorrect. 9 years ago, I put forward a motion to, 9 years ago, there was some redistricting and money available and rehab money for counties. So I put in as chairman for a grant for that trail simply because our children we have a lot of rodeo kids here and they do very well. Right now we have 3 from Middletown at the national finals in Las Vegas. That's how good they are, and they're really good because we have a beautiful arena. But our arena is beautiful, but there's no place to keep horses, and there's no way to have a rodeo there. So all of our kids, for the past years and years, have had to go to Ferndale or somewhere else to do rodeos. So someone asked what we could do. I said, well, let's put a trail out to the casino, and we asked Moak, he was chairman at the time, if we put a trail out there, would you guys buy some temporary stalls and put them up so that we could have guests come in for horse shows and for rodeos? They could stay at the casino and their horses could stay there and they could just walk back. He said, of course we'll do that. So that's how it came about. It came from M.A.T.H. M.A.T.H. did that, not me. M.A.T.H. did that. We put in and got $1,400,000 grant to build that trail. Moak had nothing to do with it other than he said he would help us get stalls. Since then, he's been elected supervisor, but he's not responsible for that trail. He didn't have a thing to do with it. He didn't think about it or anything. We went to him and asked him if he would support us, and he said, yes, he would. He would buy stalls for the kids so they could keep their horses out there because there's no room downtown. Okay? At the same time we were doing that, we had to do a study of the whole area through here, through Middletown. We went in and got a grant for $150,000 to do this study, got it done, and did a design to slow traffic down through the town, to Middletown. Bulb outs, trees, crossings that were for blind people so they would know where that, stamped concrete and all kinds of things. That is still in the works and Caltrans has approved it. What it takes is for somebody to go to Caltrans and say, okay, we're ready. Let's get the downtown done. So I would suggest that M.A.T.H., if you want to do something for the community, that would be a great thing to do. It's all designed. The design has been approved by M.A.T.H. and by Caltrans. So, number one, Moak is not the bad guy at all. He's a good guy, and he helped us take care of the kids. Second thing is, I'll be happy to help any way I can to get the downtown done, because I'd like to see us slow down the traffic going through town. Thank you.
Thank you,
no
Felicia.
questions.
No questions.
Sorry.
But
You can talk after the meeting.
is that,
So do we have another public comment? Rosemary again. I want to thank Middletown Merchant Association and the fire department for such a beautiful, excellent, amazing Christmas in Middletown. It was chock full and just full of sweetness, and it was amazing and beautiful. And I'm sorry they're not here to hear it, but it was really well done. So thank you.
I'm on the committee, I will forward that information.
Thank you.
The main thing was that we had no rain. It was cold, but there was no rain, and that made the difference. But on that note, this weekend the casino is hosting a Christmas craft event. So I'll be there, and hopefully you will too. It's 10 to 3 Saturday and Sunday.
Perfect.
good job.
So I would like to just give a quick plug to Dan Terrell in Martial Arts down on Main Street. He was the winner of the One Team, One Dream first place Award. For those of you who don't know what One Team, One Dream is, it's basically building better small businesses throughout Lake County, and all the various small businesses throughout the county apply to be part of the program, and various different pockets of money are awarded. They go through a training program. They have to basically look at their business plan, financials. It's really trying to build good, solid foundation for businesses in Lake County. You get down to it starts off with, I don't know, like 70 people apply, send in their applications, and then it gets down to a couple dozen people, and then that gets further knocked down to about 5 people who compete for the final prize. That prize money was $30,000 for Dan Terrell and his small business right here in Middletown. So yeah, he's a good guy running a great business helping the youth. So, and then I know we have one person here from Anderson Springs. Pat, do you want to say anything about Firewise and your or you want me to? You guys were just approved for, let's see, what does it say? I just see an email here.
If you want me to. I have to use this.
I think it's a good plug for the community.
Pat Roy.
So,
thanks to Katie Moore, who's incredibly energetic and ambitious and wonderful. Talented too. Talented, beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. Sexy, whatever. We have been recertified as a Firewise community. We were certified last year, which means that we've put a lot of effort into cutting down the fire dangers in our community. And one of the big deals of that is there are actual insurance. We have a discount on our homeowners insurance, thanks to being in a Firewise community. But it's just it's just effort by everybody. People got together, hired AmeriCorps teams to come out and clean common areas along the roads so that we wouldn't be in the same sort of situation we were in 2015, where it was almost too dangerous to get out. So it's just fire hardening the community, where everybody's getting their 5 feet next to their homes that are non-combustible, and then I don't know the next footages, but everybody's worked very hard.
yes. Okay. Congratulations.
Good job.
Are there any public comments on Zoom, Thomas?
No more comments on Zoom.
Okay. I don't see any out here on the floor. Any? No, wait.
A motion to adjourn.
Wait. No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
So the
Come on.
the next item on the agenda is the agenda for January. Just want to remind everybody that we will have a candidates forum on at our next meeting. So it will be run by Elizabeth Larson. She will be accepting or encourages questions to come in ahead of time. She will take questions from the floor also, but those will be in written form submitted to her. She will maintain the mic. So, so we're going to have the candidate forum during the math meeting, and then following that, we will have the elections. I also want to let you know that there will be 2 other candidate forums for District 1. Elizabeth Larson we're going to be sending out a notice, thank you for the question. We're going to be sending out a notice through math, asking you to submit questions for the candidates forum.
But that's the Yeah, candidates for the
Yes,
Board of
for
Supervisors.
the supervisors. Yes, so we have
Or
5
District
people
1.
running. We
District
have
1, right? District 1
District
supervisor.
1.
Okay.
Yes, we're just focusing on District 1. We have one of the candidates here tonight, John Hess. I don't know if anybody's on Zoom.
We got, so let's see. How do we submit? Okay, you answered the question. How do we submit questions in advance, and who will be attending And that was
Submitting
by
questions to math.
to
So,
math.
yes, so I'm letting you know right now, you can submit questions to math, to the math email. So we will send out a notice for those people who are not here tonight or joining us on Zoom, so that the entire membership knows that they can submit questions.
I just want to express that I am totally opposed to questions being submitted to an individual. and an
Okay,
individual-
you have been, yes, thank you. So this isn't
Can
a
I
time.
finish? I won't interrupt you.
This-
Can I finish?
No, but this isn't a time for discussion.
Yeah,
So
discussion, public discussion's over.
Say I'm out of
Yes.
order. I understand that.
So, yes. Anyway, this is not a time for discussion. So we did discuss this at a previous meeting, so I'm sorry you weren't with us then, but that would have been a great time to discuss that matter. So there are two other forums that will be held also with District 1 candidates. One of them will be January 16th in Clear Lake, so you'll get more information about that. And then there will also be a forum on January 31st at Calpine, and that is being conducted by the Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with the Record Bee. So there are at least 3 opportunities to hear from the candidates who are running. Again, there are 5, I think there are 5 candidates, is that correct, John? Yes. There are 5 candidates running for office. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Opposed?
Any opposed? Thank you all for coming.